Before I call the next guest, I'm going to call someone I'm sure you all will be delighted to see. Smile before he comes up, I assure you. Smile in advance. You know, the next set of people we're going to call are so important that I'm going to step aside now for a senior colleague, a distinguished Nigerian, the father of comedy in Nigeria. Please join me in welcoming Ali Baba.
Your Excellency, sirs, okay, now Vice President is holding his head. I'm going to maintain my cool. You know, since he stopped collecting offering, things have changed. Now he gives offering. It's an honor to be in front of you here. I am a product of poverty, and now I can't say that I'm poor because I managed to tap into the opportunities that have been given to me, and that is one thing that this lecture is about. It's about seeing how we can move from the indices of poverty to the high ground of wealth and how it affects human dignity. My dad once told me, he said, the difference between a poor man and a rich man is what they get. And I said, how? He said, okay, that he will show me sometime later. And that day in the evening, we were strolling in Nojo him and praised him. And about a week later, one man came to my dad's house and said that he had an issue with the customs at the time. And my dad said, okay, so what do you want to do? He said he wants to go and sort some things out and asked for a particular amount, I think about 7 naira or thereabout. And my dad gave him 2 naira. And the man said, this is not what he came for. That he actually is looking for 7 naira to sort his issues. And my dad said, you see, the man is wealthy enough to know that 2 naira is not anything. But the other man knew that 2 naira was even more important. The issues we're going to deal with this morning, we've invited someone who should know. He's a manager, a researcher, an economist, an engineer, a man of God, a man from God, a philosopher, a mathematician, and is a farmer. And above all, I'm looking at it again that he's also a student. Is there no end to getting this education for this man? But before I bring him on, I would say one thing that my cousin said when we were very young. He asked his uncles, my uncle said, can we go play with Reverend Father's children? And my uncle said, Reverend Fathers don't have children. He said, so he's not a real father. So, let's welcome Reverend Father Dr. Godfrey Nzamujo. Please give him a round of applause as he comes to me.
Unfortunately for him, all these people are my children. Except the Cardinal and the Archbishop. I don't want to get into trouble. Yes. I'm going to beg you, really, because I don't want this very important, particularly the Vice President, the Cardinal and the Archbishop and others, to have a problem. So I will be using this. I don't know how we're going to do it quickly, so that, and this one here. What about my senior technicians here? I hope they're there. They promised me to be here. Where are they? Please, because of the time. You see what he's telling me? That the people here have money, they don't need to say anything. And I don't agree with him. No. Excellency. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Particularly His Excellency here. I don't want him to have a neck problem here. Quickly. I beg your indulgence here. So, yes. Quickly. Once again, we beg your indulgence. And the lights too.
House lights.
Okay. It's okay? Okay. Once again, we beg your indulgence. Yes. You know the thing, eh? You know, okay.
Engineer, house lights, please. Thank you.
Yes. It's coming. Once again, we beg your indulgence. It's going to be fixed.
I don't know where we got the projector from Ministry of Justice is delayed.
I think it's from the Ministry of Mines and Solid Minerals. Because he's here, so we can. Is it coming up? So anything that Governor Kayode can really do quickly to help us. Is it coming? Okay. Okay. Yes. I hope it's going to worth a while. Eh? Thank you. I hope so. I am going to be very close here. I won't block anybody. Your Excellency, sir, Cardinal, all our good friends and honorable ministers. The theme today, wealth, poverty, and human dignity. I think what I will try to share with you today is that we cannot succeed if we don't move into the third industrial revolution. That's where Africa has a comparative advantage. So the third industrial revolution and the accompanying socio-economic system as an opportunity set for Africa to leapfrog its development process and tackle the triple challenge of poverty, food insecurity, unemployment, and environmental degradation. These are the challenges facing us today. Before I start, Excellencies, I would like to state categorically that the only way for us to fight poverty effectively, as the chairman said today, is to help the majority of our people, especially the poor and the youths, to become active and efficient producers. This is going to be my thesis. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, I think that this worsening situation of poverty on the continent is indicative of the fact that to a large extent, we Africans, we Nigerians, have succumbed to a logic of poverty, as the chairman said, or underdevelopment, simply because we are no longer capable of internally generating the capacities to build the appropriate institutions and structures that will enable us to consistently produce the social values, goods, and services that correspond to our needs and desires. Instead, Mr. Vice President, passive consumerism, shallow and piecemeal solutions, and the quick adoption of other people's experiences, solutions, systems of production, and values have become cheap substitutes for doing the hard work of growing up and developing native competencies and processes that will guarantee sustainable, broad-based, and inclusive growth on the continent. Mr. Vice President, we're exporting wealth in Africa, importing poverty. That's our problem. So what is poverty for us to tackle it? Indeed, when a community like ours is no longer capable, what the chairman said, no longer able to generate on its own the forces to continually face and meet its needs and desires like us in Nigeria within a given environment and a given period, this community has run into a logic of poverty or underdevelopment. On the other hand, what we should do, when we, a community, become capable of continually unleashing its internal forces and building the appropriate environments and structures to enable it to face and meet its needs and desires, in spite of its internal and external constraints and challenges, then this community is solidly engaged in a process of development. Is it what we are doing today? This present crisis, Mr. Vice President, we must realize that the crisis we are facing today in Nigeria and Africa is totally different from what you have seen before. This is very important. It is not just one or two problems scattered here and there. Mr. Vice President, this crisis is global and multifaceted. But it's equally important, Mr. Vice President, to realize that this crisis could also constitute a turning point in our collective history. Indeed, what really defines a people and what will define us as Nigerians tomorrow and what determines who we really are depends not only on how we perceive these challenges, but also and most importantly, how we face and react to them. Indeed, we assume a logic of development only when, in spite of the constraints from ourselves, whether it's oil price or anything, whether it's Boko harassment, our collective history and our environments constrained from our history and our environments, we are still able to unleash the internal forces to provide authentic solutions to our existential challenges. The question is today, can we really say, can we Nigerians say at any given moment that you have the power to say this, this is not how our history is going to end? This is really what I call growing up. Are we growing up? Interestingly, Mr. Vice President, for us today, these challenges, food insecurity, social, political, environmental challenges, seem to be all connected. They are not separate things, suggesting that We have before us a systemic problem that requires a holistic and broad-based approach. Unfortunately, most of the solutions we have seen so far seem to be piecemeal and symptomatic therapies that hardly work. In the best cases, these solutions are simply band-aid endeavors. In most cases, however, they end up creating more problems. It is, however, refreshing, Mr. Vice President, to know that more and more people are now realizing that we have hit a point in history that calls for dynamic and orientations that are deeper and broader than any attempts we have seen so far. Today's challenges require a radical shift, not just from our relationships with the environment to our intellectual, scientific, technical, and business orientations, from our production systems to the way we exchange and consume our products and services. Business as usual is no longer an option if we really have to come out of it. It should be new wine in a new wineskin. We need a new roadmap, a new compass. The disheartening socioeconomic situation today, I think, will continue and will definitely get worse if we continue to navigate with the same old map. Our compass is not pointing to the true north. It's like trying to find a Bado on the map of Ghana. I don't know how you're going to find it. Our compass is not pointing to the true north. This wrong map, developed and adopted slowly since the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution, engineered by the Cartesian mechanistic worldview, is not going to be of much help to us today. A major step in this process will be, to a great extent, how to build the institutional framework that is needed to raise the human resource base that will be capable of harnessing, as the chairman said, the opportunity sets as the new paradigm does. So, repeat, how can we harness the tremendous opportunity sets that we have in this country? In other words, the challenge before us now in this country is how to appropriate and align ourselves with the emerging worldview and create an enabling institutional framework that will enable us to unleash the production of critical mass of a new human resource pool that is equipped with the right vision, values, and capacities to help us navigate through this difficult and challenging period in our history. I am convinced that the solution to our problems today can no longer be found in our present-day attitude and logic. We should see our lives and actions as a part of a difficult mission of developing new mental and operational frameworks that are based on what we now know about our own world, how our world works. Fortunately, modern sciences, among others, the biological sciences, the neurosciences, cognitive sciences, are now providing us with fundamentally different and refreshing frameworks about our own human dynamics as well as those of our planet. From these sources, Mr. Vice President, a new paradigm is emerging. This new paradigm has a completely new and different technological, organizational, socio-economic orientation. This paradigm is challenging us to learn from the basic principles of the workings of our planet and human history. We believe that by seeing our problems from this worldview, we will be in a better position to design, re-engineer our way out of our present crisis. This new paradigm must be appropriated and deployed by a critical mass of our people if we are really committed to creating, designing, and inventing organizations, industries, economic activities that will solve our present-day problems. The big question is, what leadership role can we play in moving us from our present mindset and logic of poverty to a new worldview? Are we equipped? Are we willing to play that role? The new paradigm, Mr. Vice President, is the basis of the foundation of the third industrial revolution. There are three pillars here in this new worldview. Together, they constitute a new foundation for the third industrial revolution, which must get on the way if we are to re-engage ourselves in sustainable pathways. These pillars are distributed energy regime. I'm not going to go into it. We have moved away from it. It's very, very important for us. The third one, this connectivity is going to help us to create synergy, symbiosis, complementarity, collaboration, and supplementarity. This is extremely important. So these three. But the third one, I'm going to dwell today. The other ones are full, can take us years. The third one, Mr. Vice President, I'm going to go into and develop it. The discovery and harnessing of the microbiological capital of the universe, and most particularly in Nigeria. It is incredible. The last time I went to visit Governor in Ekiti, I was going through, it was incredible. Ekiti is a scandal of biological capital. It is incredible what we have in this country. But we're not using them at all. Now, the sin of this are small animals, effective and indigenous microorganisms that are everywhere. They constitute the foundation of authentic technologies to unlock the potentials of our biological and environmental capital in Africa. These are the sin. They are, most of them you're going to see today, they are integrative microorganisms. These are beneficial syntropic groups that create synergy and ecological relationships. These include, among others, lactic acid bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria, and this. I'm going to give you an example, Mr. Vice President. If you look at them there, chlorophyll to them, they can only harvest less than 10% of the solar energy they've gone. Out of, imagine 100%, we are only harnessing to them. But we have to develop, we are growing in Nigeria, 180 and growing. These bacteria, like the photosynthetic bacteria, Mr. Vice President, they have the capacity to harness more than that. These bacteria don't eat anything, they eat solar. They eat anything, and the insides are. These are great, incredible things developed. The next one. Now look at what is happening. In life, Mr. Vice President, we have three groups of these organisms. This is the one we hear about, the bad ones, CD, Ebola, and all of them. But they are not more in number. They are in a minority, but they are bad boys. Everyone has, we in Nigeria, we have our own Boko Haram. The bacteria have their own Boko Haram. But fortunately for us here, we have these opportunistic ones here, you see. And then the indigenous microorganism. All we are trying to do, Mr. Vice President, is to make in such a way that we create another thing. Look at what is happening. We apply probiotic and prebiotic things to the indigenous microorganism, our biggest power in this world. We do something, and this is what is happening, and then you see they become. They make the life impossible for these bad ones. This is the new technology that can save our universe. It is a license to create. Now, this side, beyond that, they also seem biologically in Nigeria. This side is not compact. The soil is a big city, bigger than Lagos. So, the whole idea is really changing here. Look at them. Now, you see here, these also insects are helping us to do all the work. Here, they are impeaching their governor, who is not helping them. Yeah, you see them. Not our own governor, Kayode, not one. And so this is what is going on here. And then, see, now this is what they are doing. This is the governor of the plants here working with all those microorganisms creating this. We don't need any chemical, any kind of thing. This is the new world we are developing. But the most important thing is that, look at this, the microbiota. The bacteria colonies living here constitute another organ. They are responsible for our health, stability, our mental health. We have neglected them. All we are doing is to feed them correctly, change our life, our humor, our intelligence, our health. This is the new one, creating jobs everywhere. This is incredible. Now, the Songhai initiative is basically the harnessing of all those things I've told you, to invent and develop new and appropriate technological and development trajectories. It is an integrated development system that organically creates dynamic linkages and synergies between agriculture, industries, and services, and also within each of them. Mr. Vice President, when we change the way we grow our food, we change ourselves. We change our values. We change our society. The basis of sustainability, Mr. Vice President, is producing more with less. Now, this is it. Regenerative green technology at Songhai constitutes a central part of our drive to develop authentic technologies that bring into play the natural forces of synergy